Hi, I'm Sean of Dragonbird Creations.
I'm Elizabeth of Fresh Retro Gallery.
Hi, it's Julie here from EchoWare.
Hi, I'm Tess.
And I'm Jed, and this is the Etsy Success Podcast.
We're part of the marketing team at Etsy, broadcasting from our homes in Brooklyn.
This podcast is powered by Etsy and is your source for tips on improving your shop and for inspiration from your fellow sellers. So, earlier this year, we published the Ultimate Guide to Etsy Ads in the Seller Handbook, which has a ton of great information on how to make sure you're really getting the most out of your ad campaign.
Yeah, it's a really great resource for sellers. And this week, we're going to talk about Etsy ads, both from an Etsy expert's perspective and from a seller's point of view.
That's right. So, Tess, who are we going to hear from?
I'm glad you asked, Jed. First, we're going to be chatting with Arjun, who's a product manager here at Etsy. He's going to tell us all about Etsy ads and how advertising with Etsy can help you maximize your traffic and reach more shoppers.
Love that guy. And then who's a seller we're talking to?
Another great question.
I am full of great questions today.
So we're going to talk with Bree from the Etsy shop Breezy Tea. She is so wonderful. She sells towel wraps that are designed to protect hair from damage and frizz. Plus, she has a variety of other hair accessories. She's been on Etsy since 2015, and she's going to talk about her experience with paid advertising and share tips for using Etsy ads.
That all sounds great. I can't wait to hear these. Let's get to it.
Okay, I have Arjun Malhotra on the phone here. He is a product manager at Etsy. Welcome to the show, Arjun.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So first, can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do at Etsy?
Yeah, so I'm a product manager at Etsy. And what that means is I work with designers, engineers, researchers, really all kinds of people across the company to build tools that Etsy sellers can use to grow their business. One of the main tools that we're working on right now is our on-site advertising platform, Etsy Ads.
Right. So I want to start by talking a bit about what that tool is. What is Etsy Ads? What does it do for sellers?
Yeah, so Etsy Ads is an advertising platform designed to make it really easy for Etsy shop owners to maximize their traffic on Etsy and help them make more sales by reaching more shoppers. We really wanted to take the guesswork out of advertising by using Etsy's data insights around which buyers are searching on Etsy to optimize a seller's ads. When we talk to sellers about their experiences with advertising, they often tell us that it can be really time-consuming and hard to figure out. But with Etsy Ads, we do a lot of the work for you.
Yeah, so many Etsy shop owners are, artists or curators first and foremost. And I think any tool that helps save time and energy so they can spend more time doing that, the thing that they love, can really make a big impact. So how exactly does Etsy Ads do this hard work you're talking about?
Yeah, so across Etsy, we just have access to data about what works for advertising campaigns and who the buyers are, what they're searching for, so that ultimately we can design a really smart campaign that will show your ads in places where buyers are most likely to purchase your items. So with Etsy Ads, all you really need to start advertising is to set a daily budget. We'll test to see where your ads perform best and promote your listings on pages on Etsy to bring the shoppers that are searching for items like yours straight to your shop.
Yeah, that sounds really helpful. But what about Etsy sellers who, haven't tried advertising before? What would you say to those sellers who maybe aren't sure about it? Why should they consider starting an advertising campaign?
So there are millions of shoppers in the world looking for items just like yours. And right now, more than ever, they're coming to Etsy. But if they can't find your listings, then you're kind of out of luck. So the great thing about Etsy Ads is that your ads help you connect directly with shoppers who have entered a search term that matches your listings. And so that means that they're already on Etsy looking for items like yours. And those shoppers tend to be the ones that are most motivated to make a purchase because they're on a mission to find something really specific. So your listings really stand out when you advertise because ads are featured especially prominently in the first row of an Etsy search page.
Okay, yeah, I think I get it. It sounds like it's more efficient for both the shopper and the seller. the shopper can find what they're looking for more quickly, and the seller's items are shown to more people who are actually interested in their products and less people who aren't, right?
That's exactly right. Plus, by running their own advertising campaigns, sellers can really make the most of Etsy's brand marketing, including some of our most recent national television commercials. Shoppers may be seeing those commercials for Etsy and then coming here to search for an item to purchase. The great thing is that we're always committed to bringing even more buyers to Etsy, and Etsy ads can help those buyers find your shop.
Right. And I'm wondering how this looks for those shoppers. Like, let's say someone is watching TV, they see an Etsy commercial, so they decide to log on to Etsy.com. Awesome. What do shoppers see on their end when a seller is running an Etsy ads campaign?
When a seller is running an Etsy ads campaign, we take the thumbnail photo, the title, the price, and any other information about their listing, like free shipping, or if they're running a sale or discount, and turn that into an ad on Etsy. It actually just looks exactly how the listing would show up on Etsy, but specifically it's placed in our ad spots. Since we want to surface the most relevant ads to our buyers, we pinpoint buyers who are searching for specific items or browsing through themed pages like yours.
So what do you mean when you say themed pages?
Yeah, it's a good question. By that, I mean listing pages with similar items to yours, category pages that are relevant to your listings, or market pages that are relevant to your listings. Buyers that reach these pages have indicated that they're already interested in similar items. So we want to make them purchase as much as you do. So we try to be as relevant as possible to shoppers. And if a shopper likes what they see and clicks on your ad, they're brought straight to that listing in your shop. And once there, they can easily complete their purchase or explore other items in your shop as well.
Earlier, you mentioned how Etsy ads connect sellers' listings with shoppers who have entered a search term that matches their listings. Is there anything else happening on the back end?
Yeah, so we are using a ton of buyer inputs and data that we know about your listings and the rest of the marketplace to really make sure that we're showing your listings in the most relevant ad spots on Etsy. And exactly as you said, we look at what the buyer is searching. And this means that we are matching their specific search to your titles and tags. And this is one of the main things that we found that can predict how likely a buyer is to purchase your listing after they click on your ad. There's also a bunch of other inputs about the buyer, like what device they're using or when and where they're searching, that can help us understand the buyer better and ensure that we're serving the right ad at the right time. We also factor in details about your specific listings, like price and performance, to show shoppers the ads that they're most likely to click on and purchase.
Okay, that makes sense. Sounds like a lot is happening on the back end then. So if a seller is just getting started with Etsy ads, what should they keep in mind?
I would say there are a few things to keep in mind. One is that when you start your campaign and you start getting clicks on your ads, we suggest waiting a few weeks so that enough data can be collected to make informed decisions about how to start optimizing your campaign. So my advice is to sit tight and try not to make too many changes in the first month. Second is the budget that you invest each day controls how many shoppers see your ads. The higher you set your daily budget, the more shoppers see your ads and the faster you'll start to see results. Think through your advertising goals and try to plan your budget accordingly.
Yeah, I like what you were saying about waiting to collect the data first. I know it can be tempting to change things around when you don't see immediate results, but I think patience is really the key here. So can you give an example of how a seller might plan their budget based on their advertising goals, like you were saying?
Sure. So let's walk through an example. So if I was a seller on Etsy and my goal is to use Etsy ads to drive, let's say, an additional 50 buyers to my shop per day, and I check my dashboard and I can see that I typically spend about 20 cents per click on my ads, I would initially set a budget of $10 per day. 50 buyers times 20 cents per click, that's $10. That would be 50 more clicks then that I'm getting on my ads per day. And across the month, that would be about 1,500 more clicks a month. And if my shop's conversion rate is 2%, which you can find by looking in your shop stats page, that would mean that from these 1,500 new clicks that I'm getting, I can expect about 2% of them to result in a sale. So that's 2% times 1,500, 30 new orders from Etsy ads that month.
And when we talk about planning a budget, we also have to talk about choosing listings to promote because those two decisions are related. So what tips do you have about deciding on an advertising budget and choosing which listings to promote?
There are a lot of different ways you can think about your budget. If you're just getting started with advertising, you might want to start by advertising all of your listings so you can see which items bring you the most traffic. You might need a higher budget during this time to make sure that they're all getting impressions. For example, if after 30 days you see that there's a particular listing that drives a lot of visits but doesn't drive a lot of orders, you might want to consider turning it off so that your budget can actually be reallocated to the ads that are proving to have a better return on that spend.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for sellers who might be newer to Etsy. What about shop owners who already have a sense of which items are their best sellers? Do you have any recommendations for them?
Yeah, so for those types of shops, what I would recommend is to think about using your budget to send extra traffic to your top performing listings, especially during the really busy shopping seasons. So, for example, searches related to fall or autumn start to pick up in July, and then they increase in August, and then they start to peak in September. So if you sell items that are related to fall, like embroidered shirts, or they have some patterns that include autumn foliage or colors or something, to make sure that those items are seen by these buyers at the beginning of July, you should increase your budget and make sure you're advertising your fall-related items.
Arjun, this has been super interesting. Thank you for coming onto the show. Where can sellers get more information about Etsy ads?
Sellers can check out our Ultimate Guide to Advertising on the Seller Handbook to learn more about developing an advertising strategy and getting started with Etsy ads. And to set up an Etsy ads campaign, it's super easy. Just visit etsy.com/advertising.
Okay, I have Bree from the Etsy shop Breezy Tea on the line here from Portugal. Bree, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Tess.
So I know that your hair towels have obviously been such a big hit. Can you start by telling me how you came up with that product?
Sure. I've relaxed my hair pretty much my whole life. When I was 10, when I got my first relaxer. So my hair was relaxed from 10 on to about 8 years ago, perhaps 7, 8 years ago. And I'd always wanted to go natural, as it's called. And I just was scared to do it. I said I didn't have a face for short hair. And so it was something I saw the people do and I wanted to do it. And I moved to Europe about 10 years ago, to Barcelona. And I found a place to do my hair. So I was still relaxing my hair. But then I got married and moved to Portugal, and I could no longer find a place here to do my hair. So I said, this is as good a time as any. Chopped all my hair off. It was called a big chop. So I did the big chop, chopped all my hair off, and I had to relearn everything I knew about my hair, because what I knew about my hair was how to take care of it relaxed. So one of the things along the way I learned was that people were using T-shirts to dry their hair gently. But we were living in Granada. We went back to Spain. So I was in Spain and I literally jumped out the shower. I was so excited. I was like, wait a minute. I want something a little more exciting than a T-shirt. Why can't I just make a towel out of T-shirt material? And had the idea, sewed it by hand. I had the idea and I just wanted to get something down, and I sewed it by hand within like an hour. And I was like, this is it. This is such a cool idea. And I think it's such a cool idea that I think other women would think so too. And that's really how we got started with our towels. That's how it came about.
So what led you to open an Etsy shop?
One was money. We thought it would be a nice idea to open a business together. And so that was obviously one of the motivating factors for starting our business. But in the beginning, we actually, the original idea was to have someone else make it. And we were asking people first in Spain to make it, and it was really expensive. And our budget was pretty much nothing at that point. And when we moved back to Portugal, it was even more expensive. And we said, this is not going to be doable if this is what they're going to charge. So then I was like, listen, I'm a very capable human. I could figure this out. I'd never used the sewing machine at that point. I said, I can do this. I can do this. And so taught myself how to sew, and we started making these towels. And then I'm not 1,000% sure how I first heard about Etsy, but maybe we searched for like handmade, products. I really am not sure. But when I read about it, it just sounded like the perfect fit. I was like, we're making our own products. Here is a website that's dedicated to people making their own products. And it made sense. It just made sense. Let's go there. They seem to have, a lot of eyes on them. Let's do this over starting on another platform that would sell everything. This would cater to our customer, who we thought our customer was at that time. So that's what led us to Etsy. You're just making it and saying, okay, let's read up on this Etsy place. And then we just decided to open a shop.
So in the last few years, you started advertising on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
What motivated you to start using Etsy ads?
We wanted more eyes on our products. I thought it was, we had quality products, and I wanted more people to know about them. So we decided to go into try Etsy ads. Now, I think at that point we had tried advertising other places, and genuinely we found Etsy ads to be the easiest to navigate, especially for me. It was the first time doing anything like that. My husband did that before in his business life, but I had never done it. So it was easy for me as a first time advertiser, somebody doing it for the first time, to navigate. It was pretty straightforward. It was simple. And compared to other places, it was just easier. So we decided to go because we wanted more eyes on to give it a go, on our shop. And we haven't looked back.
Was it kind of like you had reached a point where the sales had plateaued and you just really wanted to grow, or?
Exactly that. It was like, okay, we stand behind what we're making. We know it's good. We had gotten some feedback by then. So we know, women are loving it too, but we are not satisfied with the sales kind of trickling in. And, we got weekly sales, probably at that point, weekly sales, but that wasn't enough. I knew we could be doing better.
When you were getting started, how did you decide what budget to set?
This is so funny because I've always been hung out around the forums when I have time, less time now, but before I had more time. So I would be in the forums and I was seeing what other people were doing, and everybody always seemed to mention really low budgets and, $1, $2. And I'm like, well, that sounds, smart. So, okay, $1, $2. Now, I'm not going to say I remember. That was years ago. So I don't remember what the first budget was, but I remember it being really extremely low. And in my mind, I'm going to put $2 down and advertise, 30 things. Made sense. It made complete sense to me. I'm like, I just want to advertise everything, and this $2 is just going to stretch. And so that's how I went into it. Completely wrong, but that was it. We went low because I'd seen other people, going low. And in the beginning, that's just in life. I have to figure it. We have to figure things out before we invest more. That's when sales were trickling in. We were not in a position financially to just throw lots of money into advertising. So because other people said it was working for them at $2, I thought, okay, let's start super low. And I want to advertise everything. And nothing happened. So I learned the lesson pretty quickly. You can't advertise your whole shop for a couple of dollars. So yeah, that's how we started. And then I learned from there.
How did you select certain items to promote rather than all of them when you made that change?
At that point, we had fewer items. So it was really easy to see what was selling. So we just went with, I think it was a heather gray towel at the time was like our biggest seller, and maybe like a fuchsia. So we went with the products that were selling the most in our shop without advertising. And we just put those up. That was the easiest way to do it. We thought what was selling in our shop would translate to to advertising. And we learned that that's not always the case too over time.
Did you keep the budget around the same when you started to narrow it down more?
Yes, I kept it low for a reasonable amount of time. Certainly, I was like inching up by like 50 cents. Etsy ads we've always done fairly well on Etsy ads, and we didn't have to spend a lot. So because we were seeing, our return on investment pretty early on, I believe, there was really I was like, okay, it's working. And it felt comfortable to stay there. Obviously, the more we grew and I learned, it changed. But at that time, it felt comfortable. We saw it working. So I was like, okay. We inched up very, very slowly, very slowly.
Okay. So yeah, you made the change from advertising everything to the bestsellers, and you kept the budget the same. Do you remember how quickly you started to see results from that?
Certainly within a couple of months, or even a month. We had to have seen enough to continue. We had to have seen enough pretty early on to continue, and we saw an increase in sales, and yeah, I would say within a couple of months, and maybe even just a month, because I know me, and I just wouldn't have continued to commit to it if I didn't see it working. Because like I said, at the time we were trying advertising different places, and so and stopping it other places. Like, this is not working. So because we continue, we haven't stopped since we started. We've been on Etsy ads since the beginning of our journey.
And then you mentioned how you were slowly inching your budget up from the beginning. So I was curious, how has your budget changed since you first started?
Our budgets change with our revenue. It's cliche, but the more you have to spend to make. So we knew that. And so the more we make, the more open we are to increase the budget. And so our biggest budget, the most we've spent, was probably just this last holiday season, actually. I don't know why. There was just something in my head that I didn't want to move again, because we were doing well for so little. I just was comfortable at a certain thing. And maybe part of me thought if we spent too much for two people, it would become too much. It would become too overwhelming. So I kept it at a really comfortable place. And it was just this past holiday season that I was like, well, let's push this and see how far we could go. And we spent the most that we'd ever spent on Etsy ads, and the return was pretty immediate. And I was, why weren't we doing this the whole time? Like, let's keep pushing this. I mean, and I knew that's one of my favorite times to kind of, play around, is the holiday season, because I know that people are going to be there. So I said, let's see how this goes. And it went really, really well. So that's I guess the biggest way that we've changed the more we make, the more we're open to putting towards ads.
If you had a really great holiday season, have you kept your budget the way that you had it back then, or have you brought it down since?
Typically, we know that the summer is going to be slow. That's just typically how it's been. So in the slower seasons, the slower months will bring the budget down, and then September is when we start to go up again. So we're pretty good from like September to April. We know by what we sell that there are going to be people coming to our shops because of what we sell. We will sell all year round, but the summer is typically when we go down. So we don't keep it the same the whole year round, because the numbers are different. So at Christmas, when fall hits, it'll begin to increase again.
How has your approach to selecting the items to promote changed over the years?
We follow color. Color is important for us. Fashion is important for us. We follow color trends. What's big for the year? We started doing it a couple of years ago, where we would remarket, let's say, products that were trending for the year. So that's really, really important for us, are color trends and pattern trends and stuff like that. That's super duper important for us. And that will absolutely be one of the ways we decide what products to put up. Seasonal changes too. We know that in the summer, warmer months, people tend to like brighter colors. So we will promote brighter colors in the summer, more fall colors, deeper colors in the fall. It's just, colors is a super important for us, color trends. One of our products we keep up all year round. We maybe it's superstition at this point. I don't know. But one more. There's one beanie that I won't take off. But and we're almost into July, and you would not believe how many knit beanies we're selling, and not to countries that are, in the winter. I'm like, where are they going? Where are they going in Texas that they need a knit beanie? And this, I just don't get it, but okay. And certainly we'll add more beanies as this begins to get cooler. And we'll increase our budget because now we have more products than ever. So now we know that this year we're certainly going to have to increase our budget to include more products.
How do you measure performance of your ads?
My husband always says, like, we shouldn't be, spend no more than 20% of the revenue. So that's always like a benchmark when we're checking in with how we're doing. But obviously sales are the most important thing. That's the most important number, is how many sales we're going to get from advertising. When we introduce new products to Etsy ads, they help us out because we want to know what people are looking at. And I find that the clicks are a really good way to they tell us that the pricing is okay because you don't know. And I'm able to tell that because you clicked knowing the price before you clicked. So I know that there's still a part of people that they're open to possibly spending. So that's important to know. It's like we know that we're on the right track where pricing is concerned. This is just talking about new products. The clicks also, when we notice, it goes beyond sometimes the how much we're making. Clicks can turn into favorites. Favorites can turn into sales later. So when I see somebody buy something and then they also favorite the shop, I know we have a potential repeat. I call them repeat offenders, repeat customers on our hands. So, sales are the most important, but certainly we get lots of different information from clicks and the sales. Views, not so much. We've had things that have gotten lots of views but didn't get sales, and it ultimately came down because it didn't. That's nice that you're looking, but we take those down. It has to be, you have to at least be clicking. If I have a listing up for a few weeks and a couple of weeks, I don't give it that long now because I know what to expect now. So, but if there are no clicks and I put up new product up, or not even a new one, if I put a product up and there are no clicks, I'm not going to keep that up. So for us, benchmark is the ultimate benchmark is which ones are selling. We want to make sure that what we're making on those doesn't exceed a certain amount. Yeah, for sure.
Got it. What changes have you made to your shop since you started using Etsy ads?
Tags and titles. Listen, if it fits something that's going on in the moment, absolutely. I'm there to. I actually love listening. This is honest. Your trend reports, your podcasts, because I learn a lot. So the latest, it was so funny. The latest one was a few weeks ago about tie-dye.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, tie-dye, okay. So and I remember Dana saying it's sold out everywhere, but on Etsy you could do that. And I said, tie-dye, wait a minute. What if we try this tie-dye product? And we jumped on it, and immediately, like we listed it, and within like a couple of hours it started selling.
Wow.
So I said, Dana's onto something here. This tie-dye thing is really cool. So those kind of things, we've remained we're able to be flexible in what we do. So we can change a title, we can change a tag, we can, depending on the time, depending on the product, add something fairly quickly if the fabric is available for us to make. We can consider these things and I'm always, and I've told people this on Etsy a lot in the forum, just you have to be open to change. You have to be open to kind of moving where the people move. And so our inventory models, those things have been super duper, and learning, just that's what I was saying, that being more dialed in now to the business of fashion and the business of accessories and learning and reading more and just studying more about the industry that we're in has helped
Yeah.
a lot.
That's amazing to hear, first of all. I'm so glad that Dana was helpful. You know, you've already touched on this a bit, you know, maybe more broadly, like how have Etsy ads affected your business?
It has helped us grow our business tremendously. We a nice bulk of our sales are from Etsy ads. So, you know, it's an important tool for us. It's an important avenue for us. Absolutely. It's really easy. And after advertising many different places or trying to advertise different places, Etsy ads have absolutely hands down been the most successful advertising platform for us, hands down. So in terms of the return on investment, in terms of the ease, all of it. So it really has, I genuinely don't have anything bad to say about Etsy ads. It's an important, really important for us.
What tips would you give an Etsy seller about getting started with Etsy ads?
Now, the tips I'd give a competitor, or
let's just say someone in a totally different field.
Okay. In life, I'm a fan of trial and error, especially if you've never advertised anything before. If it is your first time dealing with advertising, I think you really need to just start low and relative to what you make. So start with the lower budget, I would suggest, and you need to play around with your products. You can start with, I guess the easiest way to start would be to go with something that you know is already selling in your shop. But if you haven't sold anything, you know, yet in your shop and you want to start advertising, I think you're going to have to try different things. You're going to have to try different things. You're going to have to tweak. There's going to be a learning curve, and that's how we started, and that's just we've grown so much by doing it that way, just trial and errors. And I have on the forums, I've advised that a lot. You have to just try different things. There's no one way to get to the destination. There really isn't. So try and see what works and increase as you go. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to increase your budget when you need to. Like, don't. I was a little slow to do it, like I said, last holiday season, but I won't do that again. I wouldn't do that again. So don't be afraid to increase your budget, and don't be afraid to stop the product that's not working. Even if, like I said to you earlier, things that have performed well for us, and I just knew it would be great in ads, they don't necessarily perform, and that's okay. Take things down if you have to take them down. Try something new. That's what I would tell them. Oh, very important. You have to give it time, because I see people all too often say, I tried it for a day and a half and it didn't work, so that must just mean it's just the hard, people, you have to give it time to work. So that's really important. Give it a nice amount of time, some weeks to work, and then you can gauge how the performance. You can't do it in 2 days or 3 days. It's not going to work.
So what's the biggest thing you've learned about running your own business since you started, 5 years ago?
Well, sewing. Number one, I've learned a new skill. I've learned to trust my instincts. I've learned to back myself that more. I'm a pretty confident person, but to back myself and the quality of our products. I've learned to take suggestions from customers. When you make your own products, it's very personal. So it's hard to hear, and even when it's polite, it's hard to hear that something in the experience was not 100% for them. And we've absolutely taken on board some of the suggestions throughout the years, and we've tweaked things and we've changed things. And I don't take it as personal when it's polite, when it's constructive. I don't take it personally. So that's something that I've learned to do. I learned that I have to keep learning, that I always have to invest in classes. I've taken business classes, and invest in just how to move this forward, continue to invest in photos and just things that'll help bring our, keep pushing our business forward. And I learned that breaks are absolutely necessary. And I think for people, small business owners, it's hard to take a break because we really don't have a day off. I work 7 days a week. And then when you're not working, you're thinking about something you could be doing. So in the beginning, it took a lot to take a vacation. And I, it's like, well, I don't want to close the shop because I say this every year in the forum. I know I say it. I'm like, listen, I like to when I'm spending money, I like to know that I'm making money too. So I'm not shutting my shop down. So we do extend. We've learned how to make it work. And in the 4 years, the time we've been on Etsy, not a single person has asked to cancel a sale because we've been on vacation. So I said, okay. So I learned that the people are still going to be there. So breaks are necessary. Etsy's been really good with we've gotten lots of opportunities on Etsy, and we're grateful. So we just always want to be prepared when the opportunities arise.
Definitely. And that was amazing. That was a ton of really great tips. So thank you for sharing so many. So then it's been quite a year so far with a variety of challenges for people around the world and specifically for small business owners. So I'm curious to know if there's anything that you found particularly helpful in navigating these difficult times. Again, in life, you have to feel what you're going to feel. So I don't believe in like stifling any feelings. So when you're angry, that needs to come out. When you're sad, the last few weeks I've cried. I've been sad. I've laughed. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. Have I found anything? That's it. Feel what you need to feel. You need to feel what you need to feel so then you can move on and continue to be productive. I don't like to wallow. I give myself 2 days to feel down, and then I have to give myself a pep talk and keep going. But I'm a firm believer in whatever it is that you're feeling in the moment, feel it, get it out so that you can go on and be productive in your business, in your life, and you have to keep going. I like that a lot. Yeah, I think that applies for a variety of challenging moments in life, just generally. Mm-hmm. Well, what's next for Breezy Tea?
Super exciting stuff coming up. The most excited I've been yet so far. We have silks and linens coming, and hair accessories, headbands, and scrunchies. And so we started wanting to protect, hair from damage, and then linen and silk are two of the best fabrics that will allow us to do that. We're designing for the first time our own printed silks and linen. So that's been super exciting and creative and fun. That's been really helpful during this year, specifically with everything going on, being able to focus on being creative and designing. And that's been such a nice reprieve from what's been going on in the world. And just because of who I am, it's like, we can't just go silk. Let's get the best silk. Let's get the silk twill. Let's get what the designers are using. So that's just where my brain goes. So that's what we've invested in. And so I'm just really excited and some are tie-dye. Listen, I took those notes on board. We designed some tie-dye silk and linen that's coming out very soon. And that's where we want to go up a luxury level. We want to move in a more luxury, to a more luxurious place. And that's where we're headed. That's what's next for us.
That is so exciting. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk today, Bree.
Thank you, Tess. It's been a really nice time.
We're almost done for today, but first, it's time for Shop Talk. We post a question in the forums and on the Etsy Success social channels, and you send us your answers by calling in or emailing us a voice memo. This week, we asked you about your favorite Etsy tool. Here's what you sent in.
Hi, Etsy Success. This is Donna with Lettermix Studio. I wanted to say my top 3 tools for helping to run my Etsy shop are the coupons that are sent to buyers when they favorite or add something to their cart. I think I get a lot of those. And the snippets for replying to customers is a real lifesaver. And then I think my favorite one is the ability to send the customers a custom listing link right from the conversation. And I love those, and I know I use that one a lot. So thank you for providing the tools to help me with my Etsy shop.
Hi, I'm Lynette, and my Etsy shop is Shoot Your Handmade. And actually, there's 2 virtual tools that I like. One is the stats that I can look and see what's going on. And the other one is linking photos to the color choices.
Hi, my name is Liana of Wool Art Design, and my favorite Etsy tool is the Saved Replies tool. Over the years, talking to my customers, I have noticed that many questions have similar topics. This is why I have created the message template for each topic, and when I receive a related question, I already have the answer for my customer. This helps me to save time on the technical information that is included in the message, and I can devote more time to build an individual conversation with the customer. I have seen from my experience that this personal touch is very much appreciated by customers. So I would say that the Saved Replies tool not only helps me to quickly find the needed answers, but it also actually helps to build a relationship with customers.
That's it for today. You can find a link to the ultimate guide to Etsy ads in the description for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and please rate us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you have a minute and that's your preferred podcast listening to method of choice. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.